Meta Connect just occurred this past week as well. And they announced really a whole slew of stuff, including the Meta Quest 3S, which is an incredibly cheap AR, VR, mixed reality goggles. They're really trying to stick it to Apple and their Vision Pro. And they announced just a whole slew of stuff. But for me, the thing that was most interesting is their Orion AR glasses prototypes, which if you heard our last Reacts episode, we were talking about Snapchat's spectacles, and we were making fun of them a little bit. They looked a bit weird. And I was saying actually that Snap does not have a reputation or I think the capacity to become a platform company, and I think that's going to hold them back. Literally a few days later, Facebook, or Meta rather, said, hold my beer, take a look at these. And they kind of just look like really nerdy glasses. The rims and the arms are just a little too thick. Maybe let's say 20, 30, 50% too thick. But for all intents and purposes, these look like, they're not because there's a little separate computing device, but they look like self-contained computing devices with augmented reality lenses. And I know I've been predicting this is going to happen in 5 years, 10 years. As I said earlier at the beginning of the show, you can't predict exponentials, or most people can't. And I mean, this is out. The prototype is in the wild. People are trying it. I think they have 100 or 1,000 of these prototypes, and they're probably going to release it in 24, 12, 24, 48 months. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Did you check this out, Amir? What did you take away?
My reaction is like, I asked myself, how fast will this replace the phone? And if that is the case, how fast will this become the most like lucrative platform out there? Because I think phones are miserable. They make us look like assholes when we talk to people and we check something on our phone. It takes us away from reality. And if we could make reality better by augmentation, I think that'll be amazing. And I think it will create a new UI model that I'm really interested in thinking about. It will create this conversational interface that you will have with your phone that is really intriguing to me, because I think now we also have the technology to support true conversational interfaces, like buy milk in the supermarket. Now I can do that with a AI that actually understand the context where I live and that I buy in HEB and not in Costco and stuff like that. So I think we're going to see the convergence of this medium together with a platform, together with a bunch of technologies that will make this extremely, extremely exciting future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Many episodes ago, my prediction was that glasses and headphones are the form factor for AI. To me, this seems kind of in the camp of no shit. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that revelatory an observation. But, people disagreed with me then, to some degree, and I think people will still be a little bit dumbfounded and curious. I just think it's just silly. Headphones, especially, earpods like this, and glasses, smart glasses are the name of the game. I don't think they will fully disrupt phones. I think having a sheet of glass in your pocket that will allow high bandwidth physical input and manipulation of a UI will always be relevant. But I think you'll move from, 100% phone or like 90% phone, 10% PC to like 80% glasses or earbuds, and 5% phone, 5% PC, something like that. That's probably a bit over the top, but I think PC will be really great for high productivity, sit down, do work. Phone will be for those moments, just moments during your day where you need to, touch something and manipulate something on a screen. And then the most of that will be the glasses and earpods.
Did you see the wristband that they released? That is amazing.
Yeah, they have what they called a neural.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called that a neural interface, which is a pretty cute thing because yes, it's a neural interface in the sense that it's detecting signals from your brain, but it's on your wrist. So, by that broad definition, your fingers are a neural interface on the screen of an iPhone. But yeah.
It's a wrapper over your brain.
It's a wrapper over your brain. Oh my God, that's nicely done. So yeah, you're right. I think actually with that quote unquote neural interface, even some of the phone use cases may even go away. I also agree with you. Voice is going to be a massive, massive part of that interaction modality. There is one little thing I'm not seeing anybody talk about. And I think on this show, we're always trying to dig up what are people not talking about? Who are the individuals at these big monolithic companies and how do we tease out their personalities and their proclivities? And then also what are the things that, you can get most tech news from most other places, but I'm trying to find things that are a little bit left of center for us to talk about. And for me, I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about this little thing, which is, yes, we're not going to look like assholes, to use your point, Amir, staring at our phones all day. But I do think there's going to be this phenomena of people walking around staring at the middle distance all day. And you're going to be, when you talk to someone at a party or an event, you're just never going to quite be sure if they're paying attention to you or their glasses. And I think, well, the worst case is you'll never quite be sure. The best case is you will know because you'll see their lens kind of just shift to the middle distance, and you'll be like, "Fuck! Can you stop? Can you stop looking at your at your data and look at me?" I think that will be in the same category of annoying, and it will be in the same category of confronting or mediating our relationships with people. So I don't think this weird phenomena that we're engaged in, where we context switch between our information layer, our what do they call it, a noososphere, between the data layer and the real layer, the real world. And I don't know that there's a real solution for that, except maybe neural implants there where the data is just flooding into your brain and like a thought. Maybe that's the real solution there.
I think there's another solution, probably not going to be effective, but might be mandatory, probably in Europe, is a light that says, is there information passing or is this conversation being recorded? So like if the corner of your dash would have a certain light so that I know if you're looking at data and I know if you're recording me, then it might be an interesting UI element to, and wrap it with culture and with a combination of like, how does the new generation like to be disconnected to some degree, although they're failing at it miserably. I think there's going to be a cultural shift that is aligned with this new technology.
I really like that idea, in not just a light if you're being recorded, and not even a light if there's data. I think there's always going to be data actually on those bloody screens. I think you could trigger a light with the retina detection, with the iris detection. It detects that you have shifted your gaze from past the screens to the screen.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get a sense that, oh, the user is currently checking the screen. However, I think that's possible. I don't think that will happen. I think the idea will be this, the selling point will be you can have this casual glanceability of information without people knowing. Of course they will, because they can tell that you've shifted your gaze. But I don't think they're going to want to hang a lantern on it, which is, to borrow a phrase from Hollywood, which is to point out the lack of attention that this user is giving you. I think they're going to want to try to make it more subtle, not less subtle. They will, of course, though, maintain the convention that if you're being recorded, I think a privacy light will be absolutely part of the mix.
I have a killer application that I want to happen where I go to social events and somebody comes to me and say, "Hey, I'm here," and I have no idea who they are, to have like a
Yes.
bubble next to them to say, "Hey, you met this person at this event." And I think that'll be immensely useful, maybe even slightly more connective, so that if you can get context on conversation, on things that you said, on jokes that you made, maybe don't make the same dad joke to your kids 5 times in a row in the same week. So like these type of things. So I agree with you. There's going to be a sad part of us being maybe a little bit more disconnected, but maybe also a connective tissue that will help us add that context into our memory, which is pretty bad most of the time.
Yeah, I've long dreamed of that exact same use case, Amir. We should stop recording immediately and start a new company. I do think this is one of the killer use cases of AR. I can admit, I have a little bit of social anxiety about not remembering people's faces, or rather, not remembering their names.
Yeah.
And I know that I've met them, and I can't remember the context. I can't remember the name. I can't remember, where we left it. And I'm a little bit embarrassed by that sometimes. And so it would be very valuable for me. I will say, though, it will have this interesting phenomena of us offloading that part of our cognition to these devices
We will
even
not
more.
remember any name ever again. It's just like
Right.
when we moved from like the dumb phone to the smartphone, I stopped knowing people's phone numbers. I still
Right.
remember my old phone number from like 30 years ago and my friends' phone numbers, but none of my new friends, I know their phone numbers, right? And they do have a phone number. So I totally agree. We will be a culture with no names or no names.
That's right. And I still remember my ICQ number from back in the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
but I don't remember anything else. The other day I forgot my password, which I just set the day before. So yeah, it's my memory has gone to hell. Now part of this is just old age, but just speaking about that outsourcing cognition, I have realized recently, maybe a combination because of me getting older and ChatGPT's existence. I used to be very good, if I do say so myself, at hearing a topic and just like rattling off 5 or 10 subtopics or facets that we have to dig into, let's say in a business meeting, and kind of thinking through, oh yeah, that's got 5 or 7 things. We need to break it down this way. And I have found myself finding it more difficult to do that and more quickly reaching for ChatGPT to basically give me like an agenda or a space exploration, like rattle off the 17 things I need to think about in this category. I don't know if that's just I'm getting old, I'm getting tired, or it's just ChatGPT is training me to outsource my thinking.
I think if you look at every technology that makes our life easier, we opt in for that opportunity and we lost that skill. We're not hunters gatherers. We don't know how to wash our dishes even manually from some people here. And I think all these technologies made our life better, but also made our skills worse. So I think like me going now back to work on the yard is actually amazing because you learn new skills. And I think we need to have a combination as a culture of doing things ourselves and doing things that are not useful.
Yeah, there's been many a sci-fi episode written about, probably 10 Star Trek episodes written about these colonies where they eschew technology, right? They say there's a line I'm thinking of specifically from I think a Deep Space Nine episode where they say, we believe when you create a technology to replace the work of a man, you take something away from the man. Actually, I think it's from Star Trek Insurrection. I am such a nerd. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. And, that's the philosophy, right? Is that it takes away from people. But, I think it's interesting if you just go back to one of the first things humans needed to do, and which is to defend themselves, right? To throw spears. And that took muscle. It took effort. It took training. And now we have guns, which takes just the muscle twitch and we're essentially throwing a rock, right? We're
Yeah.
basically throwing a high velocity rock that is in a way disconnected from our muscle capacity. And, bicycles for the brain, as Steve Jobs said, with computers, on and on and on. These are all just tools that supercharge our human capacity. Now, there's a question, right? Well, if you don't need all that muscle and you just need a twitch of your finger, is that taking away or is that augmenting? And where is that line? And if we don't need it anymore, then why do we bother exercising it? Look, I think it's on a case by case basis. I think it also speaks to your philosophy, existential questions about where are we all headed? Are we going to be those fat creatures that are living on those hover chairs in Wall-E, just switching from blue to red clothes every other day? These things tend to end up in the middle somewhere where the tensions between the left and the right, the up and the down, the lazy and the productive, people tend to find a middle, and society tends to find a spectrum. So
Yep. I'm hopeful.
I think we'll be fine.
Yes.
All right, those are our thoughts about some of the announcements at Meta Connect, especially the Orion AR glasses. What do you guys think? Has it been obvious from the beginning that earpods and glasses are the future of AR and AI? Or is there still another form factor to be announced? Are we crazy about this weird staring into the middle distance, or is it going to be just fine and people are just going to get over it? Tell us what you think down in the comments.